All right. Well, welcome to the School Turnaround Podcast. My name is Dr. Chance Lewis. I'm so excited for everyone to join today. I'm excited about our guest. Our guest is Dr. Jesse Watson. So, Dr. Watson, thank you for being here. It's a pleasure to have you. I'm excited that you're able to join today.
I'm excited about the opportunity, and thank you, Dr. Lewis.
Great, great. So, what the School Turnaround Podcast is really focused on providing solutions to not only school leaders, but a variety of education stakeholders that come to our platform looking for solutions around what's going on in school turnaround. And I've been very proud of the work that you've been doing. Of course, I've known you for quite a long time as well. So I would love for you to just introduce yourself to our listening audience. Let them know who you are, let them know a little bit about your journey, and tell them about your current role in New Orleans, Louisiana.
Okay, great. So my name is Dr. Jesse Watson. The way I entered into education, I actually started off as a substitute teacher in Baton Rouge. So I graduated from Southern University, so I knew I wanted to get into the teaching profession. So I got a little experience as a substitute teacher and then began teaching in the middle school level. And while teaching, I did get an opportunity beyond my master's degree to go back to school and further my education. So I got a chance to study under some world-renowned scholars at Texas A&M University, and I got a chance to, of course, meet Dr. Lewis, who served as my advisor there. And beyond my time at Texas A&M, I really was a little homesick during the time I was there, and thought about so much about Louisiana and about how much I could potentially make a change. And I thought about at some point going back. During that time, I believe the Saints won the Super Bowl. I kept seeing so many things that reminded me of the great state of Louisiana. So I knew beyond graduation, I wanted to go back, and that's what I did. I went back into great city of New Orleans and worked within a 4-language immersion school as an assistant principal. And while in that role, I received the opportunity to come on board with an organization that was starting up. And this was an opportunity that I couldn't pass up. I applied to be a principal and served in that role for 8 years. And then beyond that, this was a startup that, again, had not been, there was no roadmap for this. So I knew this was something that may not come across my desk again. So served in that role as a principal for 8 years, and I've grown with the organization, and I now serve as the director of recruitment and community engagement, getting a chance to really help grow a charter management organization and best utilize my talents within the organization.
Great, great. And I'm proud that you shared your journey because I think it's important for people to understand the journey of the different roles that people play to get to their current positions as well. And so in your time as principal, we're going to talk about that a little bit, even as assistant principal and your current role as well. As you know, of course, school turnaround work and helping students in education is hard work, and I know you know that from being on the ground. There's a lot of hours that goes into that as well. But I want to tap into your time as a leader of a school. So let's start our conversation off with a little bit about in places or in the roles that you've been. I know you've experienced some success in there as well, some challenges as well. So let's start with the successes, right? So let's talk about in your role and how you've been able to navigate. What are some key factors that you attribute to the success that you've had in moving the school forward, moving the education of the youth forward, and making those kind of key community connections as well, but particularly just looking at those successes that you're most proud of?
Yes, when I think about how well, one, the successes of the organization, successes of the school at the time, Thinking back in 2013, the school was founded. And so we were a part of a community that did not at the time have a high performing high school. So many families were looking for us, right? And so
Hmm.
the school started as a pre-K through sixth grade school without a fourth grade at the time due to high stakes testing. We wanted to make sure at the time the LEAP test, fourth grade was a high stakes testing grade. So we wanted to make sure that we had some time to work with, those students that would be, entering the campus. So families really, you know, they as I mentioned, they were looking for us. And so families really bought into our mission and our vision. Within the area that we're in, so there's so many legacy schools and so many, you know, private and parochial schools. A lot of families choose not to send their children to traditional public schools. So we ended up starting off with roughly 420 students, 420 scholars within our building, and just over 25 staff. So the families there really bought into our, again, our mission and our vision. And so specifically, just when I think about the successes and how that came about, we asked families to volunteer their time. We opened up the school for and shared so many different opportunities for parents to be present either on the campus, whether that be supporting at a different event, at a certain event, and or really developing kind of a menu of options for families, whether that be coming to the school, helping, you know, with the bulletin boards on the campus, or
Sure.
passing out
Hmm.
snacks during some type of specific event. But at the end of the day, giving parents an option because we know parents have so many different, different obligations. There are different times of the day that they're available. But at the end of the day, we want to make sure that there are several, making parents aware of several different options and different ways to engage, within the school.
Right, and it's good when you have a educational environment that parents are seeking, right? That helps with driving some of the successes that you have because people want it, right? But even in the successes, as I mentioned earlier, school turnaround work across this country is very hard work, and I'm sure you knew going into this that there were going to be challenges, and I always like to highlight the challenges too because I like to document them so people can kind of know, particularly those aspiring leaders, of what kind of challenges that are out there. So, as you were kind of building this as a assistant principal, principal, and even in your current role, just highlight a few of the challenges that were expected. You kind of had them on your radar that these were possible things that I may see, but also some unexpected challenges that you may have faced as well.
Yeah, I'll start off with the expected. One, just thinking about knowing that again, the hard work that on the heavy lift that it would take, knowing that it would be really a community effort. We have our parents and our community as partners first and foremost, knowing that it wouldn't just be the of course what happens within the building we can control, and we can also ask of families to support the students beyond the normal school day. Something that we did encounter was we had to think about when the school was started. The students, the scholars that were in the school were there because of their parents or their legal guardians' decision. So it wasn't, mainly their choice to be there. So with the school that's just starting, there were not, we had to create our own traditions. We had to create so much for students to make sure that they felt welcomed and actually wanted to put on the school uniform that they put on. So we're really
Hmm.
starting there to make sure that the kids that got off the bus each and every day, and or the students that were dropped off during carpool and or walking to school, all of them wanted to be there first, because we knew if a student didn't want to be at that school, the likelihood of them doing their best was minimized at that point. So
Hmm.
looking at the different strategies that we put in place to make sure that happened. One, thinking about for students, making sure that we were making decisions with students in mind, but then also having students at the table as we made certain decisions, specifically around student clubs that we had within our school. We wanted to make sure
Hmm.
that there was something for everyone within the school, so that the student felt welcome. So we started off with sending out surveys to students to get their feedback on, one, hey, what is your interest? What would you like to see during our advisory time? What would you like to see during our club time? And then also, as we develop sports within the school, what types of sporting activities would you like to see? As we developed our arts program within the school, making sure that
Hmm.
we exposed our students to the arts and had
Right.
plays, and also from the media arts to, as well as you know uh, performing arts for our students. So the exposure was one, but I think that main piece for us to get the buy-in and have students proud of being a part of the organization. That was like first and foremost, before, or it was simultaneously, as we, of course, got into the curriculum and the instruction piece. But we needed to make sure that those students, at the end of the day, each and every scholar felt like they were part of building something great. And that was when I think about the conversation that would always take place, just thinking about students and sharing with them, hey, what about, as a sixth grader at their school, just starting out, in 6 years, you will have the opportunity to be in the first class. You will have the
Right.
opportunity to put on your resume that you are a founding student within a college. Well, I'm sorry, a founding student within a high school. And so our students have gone on to, uh, be the first, so many first, and we're still
Hmm.
having first. So those sixth graders back in 2013, many of them are now graduating from college in a few weeks. Some of them
Wow.
have gone on and completed a 2 year degree, associate's degree, and or gone to chose to the armed forces or the workforce, or gone on to be entrepreneurs. There's so many opportunities, and this was really something real for us, because we had to make sure that we're thinking about just all the different opportunities that were out there, and actually exposing our students to this. And so those students that were in pre-K at the time, they're now 10th graders. And it's exciting to see that. I'm sorry, they're ninth graders, but it's exciting to see that and to have them be a part of the growth of this organization.
Yeah, that's great, especially when you could see them for that long, go through all the different grades and see their maturity levels as well, and tackling challenges along the way, to support them as well. So a lot of people look in on our podcast looking for recommendations and solutions. And I want to kind of tap into your expertise around that, because I know in your time as assistant principal and principal, and now in the role that you're in now, really getting talent, in the building. I think that's important as well. So I want to start around talent, because I had a previous guest on the show, and she mentioned that's one of her hardest jobs, getting talent. So let's talk about if school leaders or aspiring school leaders are looking in and they want to get the best talent in the school to support school turnaround efforts. Talk to us about a few recommendations that you would give to them to get the best talent in the building.
Yes. So when we think about one thing with schools, one, if you don't have students, you don't have a school. But you also need
Right.
really good educators to, teach really shape the minds and deliver great instruction to students. So
Hmm.
specifically, with the talent piece, we think something that's been very helpful for us as an organization is really developing a really deep bench of talent within all levels or within the organization. And that's,
Hmm.
one, of course, putting the best instructor in front of kids. That's one of the best decisions
Right.
that we can make as educators. Um, Also, within the administrative pieces and those that are supporting the teachers, whether it be the different coaches and or different levels of administration, making sure that we're exposing we're exposing individual teachers to just different levels within the organization, so that if they are the next person up, or if something comes up, they apply and they are selected for a position, they're really in a great position because they've been exposed to kind of the organization's climate, and just knowing some different ways that they can support and help the organization move forward. One thing I think about when I think about talent is another thing regarding talent is actually the individuals who within the organization who may have a role that are supporting talent, really putting themselves out there, because it's
Hmm.
sometimes difficult to find good talent, when you aren't in the space where the talent is, and
Right.
making yourself available. One strategy that we utilize within our organization, I've really made sure that we're in contact with with the colleges and universities, the teacher preparation programs, and that is
Right.
not necessarily just a phone call. That's making a drive to we're as a our we're in South Louisiana. However, it's making a drive up to North Louisiana, making a drive to
Hmm.
the different universities in the region, and making sure that there's some type of contact with, whether that be the university president, whether that be the dean of the College of Education or the School of Education, and or professors that are within these different schools, to make sure that they're aware of the organization and they're aware that you do exist. So that has helped really a lot, kind of building the pipeline, especially with the school organization. For us, we're in year 10, or I'm sorry, year 11 as an organization, and there's still, I run into different, while I'm at different schools, they may say, oh, well, we're just kind of really hearing about, who you are
Right.
and what you're doing. So that's our charge, and part of my charge, to make sure that I'm out there sharing and being a face within the organization to, promote exactly what we're doing. And,
Yeah.
sharing. Oh,
Oh no, I was saying that that's important because when you look at talent, you can have the students, like you said, but if you don't have the right talent in the building, it all goes for nothing. And also, you hear about so many stories about schools who are lacking the talent and they're just trying to get a warm body right in the building to be in front of kids. And a previous guest that I had, he was mentioning that this school year, some parents were reporting that their child had three or four different teachers, because of the talent shortage, in that same grade as well. So the next thing I want to ask you about and get your recommendations on is that it seems like you've done a great job in connecting with the community and parents, right? So for an aspiring leader, taking on school turnaround efforts, if they're going to really reach parents in the community, what would be some recommendations that you would give them based on your experience?
no, great. I think, well, one, I look back at my first week being hired as the founding principal within the organization. One of my first visits was, kind of walking the neighborhood. One, meeting with individuals that even lived within the neighborhood, but then walk. There is a church across the street from our first campus, and I went and met with the priest, and from that initial meeting, I would have coffee with the priest ever so often. So that's we're just thinking about individuals that lived around the school because the school had been closed down for 2 years. The school building had been closed down for 2 years, and so individuals may have been used to there not being traffic in the area. And so, one, I wanted to make
Right.
sure that they knew a school was coming back that way, and wanted them to get used to that. As far as families, making sure that families have opportunities to be involved and really highlighting those opportunities. Um, Also, listening one, listening to families, listening to the scholars within the organization, within the school, is important. We would make sure that we did schedule as we uh, created a schedule for the year. Uh, Make sure that one, if it was something that was forever, it was something that was fluid. That we developed a parent-teacher organization, and we would frequently have, and this is with the administration, have uh, you know uh, meetings, whether we attended the meetings, but then beyond that, some type of communication or some type of sit down with our parent-teacher organization to make sure that again voices are heard because we knew that we as a school we had to develop our own traditions. We knew that we couldn't do everything that every other school did. One, being a startup, we run into
Right.
funding is always something that we try to get more of. And so I think for us, being a great listener, but then also seeing what's possible. And within our organization, making sure that, two, we're making decisions with two things in mind. One, is it good for kids? But then also, does it fit within the mission and the vision of the organization? And if the answer to those two questions is yes, then it's something that we can move forward with as an organization.
Great, great. And so another thing I wanted to ask you about was as a school leader, a lot of times we know that we are trying to make lasting impact, right? So for students and create a legacy for the work that we've done. A lot of times you see the realities of today, but you're thinking about tomorrow as it relates to the school, the future of the school, and you want to leave a legacy on the school, even if you're not there to see all of it, right? You want to implement something that's there. So how do you kind of deal with that the conundrum I call it of uh, leaving a legacy, making sure things are in place so it can outlast even your time there for the long term success of the school? Because I know that there are some aspiring leaders out there and people who are on the ground working hard every day who trying to make things better, but they know they may not see it all. So how does a school leader like yourself kind of think about that, and what recommendations would you give for aspiring school leaders with wrestling with that?
Yeah, so no, great question. I think about something that's been so helpful for me, really specifically within being a school leader and being a founding principal. One was something that's really held high within our organization is practicing shared leadership, and as we practice
Hmm.
shared leadership, the shared decision making model is making sure that we're bringing in multiple individuals throughout the organization to the table as we make, specific decisions. So it's the decisions, at the end of the day, isn't just one person. And as we build, and I was mentioned before, the building a kind of a deep bench of individuals. Uh, but as that bench is built throughout the school, but then also uh, the decision making, making sure that there aren't just decisions made by just one single person. That's a
Hmm.
way to make sure that it's not something that's like a temporary decision. This is something that's we're thinking like beyond this year, beyond next year, beyond this campus. Something within our
Hmm.
organization that we didn't set out to do this. We set out to be. We are a community school, and we set out to educate students within the community. We knew that we would more than likely. Um, be a K through 8 school. However,
Right.
doing well by kids and doing what's great and having some great academic success kind of propelled us to the high school and actually going beyond the high school into some other regions. And so I think keeping at our core again those keeping decisions, making sure that decisions are involving what we consider um, like a whole brain. Emergenetics is
Hmm.
something that we use within our organization. And so making sure that we have different individuals with different thoughts at the table. And we've approached that, that way within our organization. And that's something that I personally use, when I'm making any decisions.
Yeah, and that's great. And I love the idea about the shared leadership and shared decision making. So it's all not on one person, but it gives other people, gets other people involved in that process and making a decision and carrying on that leadership trajectory, of the school as well. So I really appreciate that. So as we come to a close for today, because I know you're busy as well, so I appreciate your time. Um, so what would be your last pieces of advice, right, for aspiring school leader, aspiring person that's looking for talent, and just so that they can ensure their success, in this hard work that we call school turnaround.
I would share, never forget your North Star, because
Hmm.
there's going to be so many obstacles and so many challenges rather that come about daily. Some
Hmm.
things you can control, and then there's some that you cannot. However, if you're leading, with children in mind, and your North Star being, your kind of your own personal kind of mission and vision. Uh, Anything that's not within uh, those two things, it's a direction that you probably would not want to go. So I would keep that at the forefront, and just know that that's something that's needed. And then also make sure that you have a mentor too, someone that you can reach out to that has done the work, someone that is has been successful with the work, and someone that has maybe even not been so successful that can share what were some of those obstacles and some things that got in the way of them reaching a certain goal.
Great, great, and that's great advice as well. So, I want to thank you sincerely for joining the School Turnaround podcast. I mean, you shared a lot of wisdom, and I love how you've seen the work from different roles and different viewpoints, right? As a assistant principal, as a principal, and now focusing on talent, and bringing the best talent into the school. So I just want to say, even for the world, let's see, I'm very proud of you, the work that you have done. I know your heart for education. I know your heart for the kids as well. So continue to do the great work that you're doing as well. And, thank you again for joining the School Turnaround podcast. I really appreciate it.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Dr. Lewis. Appreciate the opportunity.
All right. I'll be in touch with you soon. Okay.
Sounds great. Thanks again.
All right. All right. Take care.
Yes,
Bye
sir.
bye.